All right, all right. Welcome back to Recruiters in a Microphone. I am your co-host, Pete Cochran. I am here with my co-host, Israel Swanson.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we actually have a very special guest today, Jordan, from BackTrack and YAC. So there's two different companies that you're running. So Jordan, welcome to the program, man. So glad to have you as we're fellow neighbors. Unfortunately, we're not in person, but I really wish we were, but we're all in Jacksonville. So
we'll get in person. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah. And also, has anyone ever said yakety yak, don't backtrack?
The amount of phrases and metaphors and things like that.
Did you save this for the program? Oh, wow.
Unreal.
Okay.
That just hit me. It was just like yakety yak, don't backtrack, and it's like, oh man, I've got to drop that knowledge.
At this point, I'm going to bow out for the rest of the program and have Swanson just ask all the questions because that's ridiculous.
That's funny. That's very funny. But no, I'm excited, guys. I appreciate you having me on. I think it's going to be great, and excited to do this.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. So, Jordan, tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? How did you get into entrepreneurship? Were you always an entrepreneur? Just give us the skinny.
Absolutely. So, like you said, my name is Jordan Walker. Co-founded a few companies, and I'm originally actually from Boston, Massachusetts, and then I moved down to Florida with my dad.
Are you a Red Sox fan?
Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics. I mean, you name it.
Oh man, I'm sorry. We're going to end the program now.
Beantown.
Yeah. So the Yankees are tonight. So sorry. Program's ended for everybody here.
I won't be watching. I can tell you that.
No.
But so originally from Boston, moved down when I was younger. My dad's job brought us down to Jacksonville, and ended up just staying there. I think as far as being an entrepreneur goes, I think I always had at least a little something in me. But I will say I got really fortunate in the parents department that they kind of pushed me to really try to be an entrepreneur and gave me the courage and the confidence to go try to explore myself. Now, when I was younger, I had some ideas that they encouraged, and then I had some that were not so hot. And one of the ideas is, remember my neighbor and I, Austin, we were in first or second grade. We were extremely young, and we had a lemonade stand on the golf course. There's a golf course close to us, and we rode our bikes there, set up the lemonade stand, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember one day we were getting some traffic, but we saw that the golf guys always bought from the woman in the golf carts riding around, not from us.
And the car.
Yeah, we're going, what the heck, man? Like, why aren't they buying from us? Like, we have lemonade too, whatever you want to call it. Well, then little old us discovered and learned that they're not buying lemonade; they're buying beer from these guys. They want the alcohol.
Yeah. You're too young to sell that. What they were buying.
That's what you would have thought, but what Austin and I figured out is in my parents' house they had they're not alcoholics, but they had a little beer thing in the fridge, right? It's where my dad kept some beers, and so what I would do is I would try to smuggle some of the beers. I would smuggle some of the beers out, and then I would bring them to the golf course, and I was wheeling and dealing, selling beers to golfers on the golf course. And
Jordan, that's absolutely amazing. You were peddling beer as 11-year-old.
How old were you again? You said 8?
I was it was first and second grade. And Austin and I were printing money. I mean, you would have been like, how are these 8-year-olds making $200 or, 8 years old? I mean, it's unlimited money. And so
you were I would am assuming you're undercutting the cart too. So you're selling beer for $1, and they were selling it for $6.
Yeah, I mean, it was, man. At the time, it was $2. All we were concerned was how much money is coming into our pocket. We definitely lost money in the operation, but So anyway, we were doing that, but then one day, I remember there was just such high demand, and it's so the way our kitchen was set up is there's the kitchen, and then there's the living room right next to it. My mom was laying on the couch watching TV. I was like, shoot, I really need these beers, but my mom's right there, and so. I went for it. I tried to be sneaky.
This conversation is going so much better than I expected, Jordan. This is amazing.
Yeah. I tried to be sneaky. She caught me. It didn't work out. Operation got immediately halted. And that was the end of that. But, man, it was a run. And then, beyond that, my brother and then, once my brother got a little older too, in elementary school, we were selling like Pokemon cards to kids. We're selling Crazy Bones, baseball cards. I mean, whatever we could get, we were always just sort of hustling. And so I think that bone was always sort of in my body. And then it got really accelerated once once I got to college. I was, in high school, I was playing a lot of sports growing up, playing basketball, won a state championship, went to college, ran track. And then I got really lucky, though, on the first day of college, I met my now co-founder, Hunter. And
that was in Gainesville?
This was actually in Jacksonville. I went to UNF.
Oh, you went to UNF. Okay. Oh, yeah. Swoop.
So I met Hunter on the very first day of college. And turns out coming into college, Hunter had his own company at the time. He had a clothing brand that he was getting into malls and things like that. And I was like, oh man, I met another entrepreneur. This guy's we're going to be best friends. And that's kind of all she wrote from there. So
that's awesome. So right off the bat, right? Like you knew you were going to be an entrepreneur. Like it sounds like ever since you were in first grade. What was the first product that you failed at? What was the first product that obviously YAC was one of the most successful ones? But talk to me about the one that you really believed in and that it was ultimately like a failure. Because we all had it. Like we were talking about before the podcast, we have like a million ideas and we think they're all going to be successful.
Yeah, for sure. There was this deals and discounts website that we put together. So what we did is we would go around to a bunch of businesses and say, hey, look, we have this website. Give us a unique discount code. And in turn, we'll send you guys a bunch of traffic back to your website. And we'd put ads on the website and make money off it. Like, man, this thing's going to blow up. It's going to take off, whatever. I put it on Product Hunt. I was like, all right, boys, like, here we go. This thing's about to, crush it. It got like 7 upvotes. It went completely flat. I was like, yeah, that's a nice reality check. This thing went literally nowhere. So, that like really sucked, but you just kind of keep going and you stay optimistic and keep pushing. And then, we can get into it if it's relevant or not. But I remember once we launched one of our other first companies, our design agency, Jim Stallman from PS27 was a real good mentor to us back then and gave Hunter and I a really good reality check. So shout out to him too. But
so that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. So definitely for all those that, even in Northeast Florida in general, we're probably all familiar with PS27 and with Jim. If you're not, definitely look into it if you're want to be an entrepreneur, because Jim is a fantastic mentor, like you said. But Jordan, talk to me about like how that introduction happened. Like, was it multiple ideas that you pitched to him to land to YAC, and give the story of YAC in general?
Yeah. So, I got to tell the Jim story before we get to YAC. So Beautiful. This is I'm probably when I got to college, 17 or 18 years old. And so, Hunter and I, we had been started the design agency. And like, again, we were really, really young and immature when it came to business, and, you don't know what you don't know. And, but we started the business while we were in college. And I think at the time we were the only ones maybe doing something really serious, sort of in the business. And so, we had some clients. We got on the front page of the school newspaper. The business school, that's when like the university center, the entrepreneurship center was kind of coming to life. The university had asked Hunter and I to have a hand in that. And then through that, Jim actually found out about us, some young guys. He's like, and for whatever reason, I still don't know why, but he decided to sort of take us under his wing. And so I remember he invited Hunter and I to one of the, for us, one of the first events. And there was a man there speaking from Techstars. He was talking about, startups and what's possible. And, and I remember, kudos to Jim, he quite literally gave Hunter and I a seat at the table. It's like, this really crowded room, a lot of people in there. This guy's up front talking. He said, no, you guys come sit here, but you're going to listen to this guy talk. Wow. Again, I still don't know why he did that, but he did.
Do you remember who it was from Techstars that came down?
I don't. There's a photo I have on my phone. I could probably find it, but I don't know.
It's okay. Yeah, it wasn't like Brad Feld or the founder of Techstars or anything like that.
It wasn't the founder. It was one of the managing partners.
Okay.
But even so, I remember listening to this guy talk, and Hunter and I are just looking at each other the whole time. Like, wow, like for the first time, I think both of us were like, wow, we can go be these founders that have really cool startups that change the world and do something really big.
Right.
Which was just absolutely incredible. And so through that, we kind of built a relationship with Jim. And then this is a funny piece of the story. So as then Hunter and I we're super motivated. Like we're going to get after it. And we had our design agency at the time, and our first client.
So hold on, real quick, Jordan. Real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt. So design agency, were you? What kind of design agency was it?
Yeah, so we were doing mobile apps, websites, branding, social media posts, like everything sort of in between.
Got it. Okay. And cool. I just wanted to make sure that I knew.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember, so after talking with Jim, whatever, we were like, all right, we're gonna hustle, we're gonna make it happen. And we got our first client, and it was for $750. And you would have thought we were the next Elon Musk. We're like, Mom and Dad, like we're dropping out of college, we don't need you guys. Like, we figured this thing out. We're printing money. Like, screw you, screw school. Like, I'm on top of the world. Well,
right. And that's $750 is done in like 2 hours. Yeah.
Right. So like 17 and 18 years old at the time. So like, it's hard to like kind of conceptualize, but it's like, man, okay, that's it. Yeah. You quickly learn, Jim gave us this reality check. $750 in business does not take you very far at all. Not even a little bit. And so, Jim helped us, with that. And we, over the time kept going by and we started growing the business, et cetera, et cetera. And what we realized is, hey, we're not great at marketing, maybe in the traditional sense, but we're really good at going viral on the internet. So it's a whole nother story, but like there was one time Hunter was on the front page of Reddit. We had built some other things. And so we're really good at going viral is what we knew. And so what we said is, okay, we need to drive more business and attention attention to the business. How do we do that? And so we said, we're going to build these lead magnets that are going to go viral. We'll put our, name and stuff at the bottom of it. And in turn, hopefully people find it and go, oh, who built this thing? Oh, let me go hire them to do whatever for me. And so we built a lot of these and some went mega viral. Nike sent us a takedown notice for one of them, which is a whole other thing. I don't know if I can talk about publicly, but we got into a little tizzy with Nike at one point in time. So that was something. We built another thing that got funded, some funding by Adobe. One actually ended up getting sold off. So we had like some of these few lead magnets that really got the main business sort of going.
Right.
Now, skipping some detail and fast forwarding to YAC. YAC originally was actually going to be one of those lead magnets. So the idea was we'll build the lead magnets. There'll be a referral business back to our design agency, but kind of like see, hey, what's going to happen to this thing? Like, is it a worthwhile business? Is it something worth pursuing further? Like I said, some went viral, but like there was no like long-term viable business. Some completely failed and fell flat on its face. But then YAC came around, and YAC we had built actually to solve our own problem. We thought it would be interesting for people. So
that's usually how it goes, right? Eat your own dog food.
Yeah,
exactly. Solving your own problem.
So for those listening or who may not know, YAC is an asynchronous voice messaging tool. And so at the time, our team was remote. We had people all over the place. So we said, well, you know what? It's hard to have synchronous meetings. It's really late or early for somebody. It's hard to meet up. Let's have these asynchronous meetings. And so I would call it like the 0.5 of YAC got brought to life. And this was over Thanksgiving break years and years ago. And so we put together a really scrappy version of it in a week. And this is where our lives completely changed. Whatever you think it was, whatever. So we launched it that week. So we put it together in a week, and then we launched it at the end of the week on Product Hunt. And mind you, at this time, I want to caveat it with, we've never talked to an investor. We have, we went to UNF. It's not like we went to Harvard or Yale. We have no connections, nothing at this point. We've never talked to like a big company at this point in our lives.
Right.
We launched YAC, and this thing just goes bananas. Within a few weeks, 2 weeks, we get a wait list of 3,000 teams from like Uber, Spotify, Lyft, Barstool Sports, CVS. I mean, if you name the company, they were on that wait list. And we're going like, holy crap. Like, okay, we think there's like something here with this thing. Like that doesn't happen to everybody. Like we're like, what the heck?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the audience, describe what YAC is. Like for the you don't know who it is or what the product is.
It's an asynchronous voice messaging platform. So the original name was Yelling Across Cubicles. That was really long, so we condensed it down to YAC, and then YAC kind of became a verb. But it's an asynchronous voice messaging platform. So you can send a voice message, a screen share, summary, transcription, etc. asynchronously. So it's like imagine having a Zoom meeting or like this, just done asynchronously. Yeah. And so it launches, it goes crazy. We get all those teams signed up, and we're like, holy crap! Okay, like there's something here to this thing. Like there's actually like a long-term probability play here. Let's pursue it a little longer and see what happens. And mind you, this is in November, and so our agency is still like full tilt. Like I can't say the name of the client, but we had a really big client. We were in the middle of a massive theme park project that we were doing, and then we likewise YAC was just like starting to really come to life in the background. So then fast forward to January, we found ourselves out at CES, actually, ironically, in Las Vegas. But the thing to mention here is we weren't doing like the Vegas thing. Like at the time, we had no money, so we were just like we were staying like off strip. It was like 11 p.m. Like, and I just started in a hotel room, just like talking, hanging out, like doing nothing, right? And one of the users of YAC on Twitter had mentioned Adam Draper. He goes, "Hey, Adam, check out this YAC thing. I think you would really dig it." And for those listening who don't know, Adam Draper and his family is OG Silicon Valley. They are the reason that Skype, Hotmail, Tesla, PayPal, Facebook, all these companies exist. I mean, these are like literally the founders of Silicon Valley. And we're like, the user of YAC tags him on Twitter. We're like, oh, yeah, right. Like, this guy's not going to, like, cool, thanks for the mention. Like, this guy's not going to see it. He's like a billionaire.
Right.
You know, whatever. Like, you know, whatever.
It's just part of his stream is what you're assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And he's got like 50,000 followers. We're like, yeah, not right. Like, I'm sure he gets this crap all the time. 5 minutes later, Adam goes, "Hey, here's my cell phone number. Call me right now." And again, we're like, what is going on? Like, what? Like, he wants us to call him right now? Like, we're panicking.
You're blowing my mind right now, Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, you're blowing my mind.
It's insane. Absolutely insane. We're going like, holy crap. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what?
And here you are in like in a Motel 6 off the strip.
Yeah, I mean, it was something like
you're like, bunking up with Hunter too, I'm assuming. And you're probably you're sharing like a queen bed, and you're like, what's going on?
They're in a pay by the hour hotel, and the bed shakes.
Like, it's like some crappy bed and like a pull out couch. Like it was not sexy. Like it's not a sick hotel room. So anyway, we're sitting there. Adam's like, "Okay, here's my personal cell phone number. Call me right now." And so we're like, you feel like a child on like your birthday. We're like your blood starts pumping and adrenaline's going. You're like, holy crap, like, are we about to like give this guy a call? So anyway, I'm like, all right, screw it. Like, we're going to give this guy a call, see what happens. Give Adam a call. Coolest dude most down to earth, coolest dude in the world. And we talk for 20, 30 minutes. He's like, I get it. This thing is banging, like, whatever. You're going to change the world. This is so cool, whatever. Then he goes, all right, guys, like, I'm in. Send me the instructions. And we're going like, you're in. I'm like, what do you mean you're in?
I don't have instructions.
Define in.
Yeah, we're like,
could you define that? Yeah.
Right. That's basically what we're doing. We're like, in, like, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Like, like what? He goes, oh no, like I'm gonna invest. Like send me the instructions. Like we'll get it taken care of. And so at this point, again, we don't have anything. Like there's like, at this point, I don't think it was even like its own legal entity. It had like a really crappy website. I mean, like there's no business bank account for it. But of course, you do the founder thing. You're like, oh yeah, sure. Like my people will talk to your people. Give us a few weeks.
I'll get my general counsel to call your general counsel really quick.
Right.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then next few weeks go by, and we're like scrambling to put all this together. We're like, all right, we got to like turn this into a real company, get a bank account, the whole 9 yards. And then he ends up investing, and he goes, oh hey, I want some friends, that I'm gonna have invest in this thing too. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? And he brings in BetaWorks Ventures. So for those who don't know who BetaWorks is like the biggest investors in like Hugging Face. They invested in Twitter. If you use like Giphy on your keyboards, BetaWorks is the ones who made Giphy like turn into what it is. So we're like, and they did some other crazy deals too. I'm like, holy crap! Like BetaWorks, like what is happening? It's not like these like random VC companies. It's like top A-tier companies. So BetaWorks invested in that first round as well. It was like $250,000 total, and from there we just did.
And it was just you and Hunter. You're the only two.
We had there was other team members because we had people at at our design agency, and then they also kind of transitioned to like working on YAC because we needed the help. So we had people in place, but we raised that first $250,000, and we just didn't look back. I mean, now we're here.
Go ahead, Jordan, real quick. So like at this point, and maybe I missed it, but so you launched the product. but you haven't like launched it in regards to trying to pitch it to anybody. It's just out there.
Right.
And then people have just found it. Like, oh, this is cool. Let me figure out who built this.
Yeah. So exactly. I'll get to it in a little bit, but our actual launch was it 20, like right before the pandemic became the pandemic, which is a whole. But
you're not selling, is my point. Like you're not selling, and people are buying something that you. I mean, it's almost like someone just drove past your house and they're like, "Oh man, I want to buy that guy's car." But
more, like we put out some feelers, but like it was not like this was not the full-time job. This was not even like it was like maybe like once a week you talk about it thing and just kind of see what happens. But no, we were not selling it, like doing anything crazy.
This is an amazing story.
It was absolutely unreal. It was so insane. And so we just kept pushing, and then, then we went on. Oh, go ahead, Pete.
Well, yeah. So real quick, Jordan. So here you are talking to some of the top VCs and investors in Silicon Valley, which in itself is amazing. Talk to me about that time that you're in the hotel room for that 20 or 30 minutes, and he says, "Okay, cool, Jordan, I'm in. I want to invest." Right? Walk me through like the next stage. Like what do you guys do? Like how do you now start to pitch this thing? Because you never really tried to raise money before. You just built it and released it.
So this is where it gets interesting. So, well, number one is we panicked. That was the first step. Definitely panicked.
Of course. And you probably stayed up all night. You didn't sleep in your
we definitely did not sleep.
Your one queen bedroom. No, you're
right. And like this is like 11 p.m. PST time, and so back home, it's like the middle of the night. So I'm like calling my dad. I'm like, "Dad, I need you to wake up right now. Like I need some advice."
Right.
Like,
hey, Dad, it's 2 a.m. Answer my phone call.
And mind you, we're in Vegas. He's like, "Oh God, like, are you okay? Like, are you, do you need help? Is something wrong?" I'm like, no, quite the opposite.
He actually thinks it's like the worst because you're in Vegas. Like I'm sure he assumes.
At 2 a.m. Eastern, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy."
Do I need to wire you money? What's going on?
Like, am I about to hop on a flight? Come bail you guys out of jail, whatever.
No, Dad, it's not that. I'm not in jail. I just talked to this really cool investor.
Our lives are about to completely change. So, step one was panic, but then beyond that, it's like, okay. In all seriousness, it's like, okay, we had to.
Hey, Dad, you remember when I stole your beers and sold them to a golf course? I've now made this a profitable product.
Yeah. I just 10x my stealing. Yeah. That was
amazing.
But no, so in all seriousness, we after kind of the adrenaline wore off, we're like, okay, we need to get really serious about this. So it's like, okay, we have to figure out how to pitch this thing. We got to figure out how to talk about this thing, and we have to figure out just generally like what do we sort of do next. And so a lot of it was actually trial and failure. So I will say, actually, we're back up for a second. Leading up to that moment, it's like because we were on Product Hunt and that user of YAC saw it, it's like sure you can say maybe that was lucky, it was quote unquote overnight success. But we had been trying to get to that point for the last 8 years of our lives, like 9 years, or like we had been putting in the work for that exact moment. So I want to caveat it with that, and I want to say that before we.
Yeah, a lot of people always say like overnight success is not overnight. Like that's right, just something that everybody always thinks that.
Putting things out and launching and trying and networking and like clawing our way to get that, be successful or like be prepared when that opportunity sort of came. So that's that. But then that was our pre-seed round, and then our seed round took place later that year. So this was the beginning of the year. Seed round took place later that year. And between that time, we had to figure out how to really pitch the product, how to really put it together, how to put all these assets in place, etc. And that was probably, one of the most difficult things that we've ever had to do because, $250,000, it's a lot of money, but at the same time, we also we needed to go raise more money in order to make this thing happen at the time. And so we did a trillion VC meetings, one of which actually is how BackTrack came to be originally, which I can talk about too. We did a trillion VC meetings. And the thing that a lot of people maybe don't realize is you get so many no's along the way. And so much of it is just trying to dial in the pitch, a lot of trial and error. I mean, we did hundreds of meetings. And you say, no, you're from Florida. We don't believe in you. No, we have no idea who you are. Like a lot of
where is Jacksonville again? that kind of thing.
Right. Actually, it's funny. I won't name the name because we kind of had a full circle moment with them, and but a VC fund quite literally laughed us out of the room. Like they were like, "You're from where, dude?" Like they quite literally did that. What's funny though, years later in 2022, Hunter and I saw them at a random party in New York, and they have a list of companies they regret not investing in. And YAC was at the top of that list. He literally showed us. I was like, "Yeah, screw you guys. Like that's what you get." But
real quick on that same kind of thought question for you, Jordan, is that out of all those pitches that you did, outside of where are you from, dude? What was like the biggest common one that had nothing to do with your product? It was just like, no, because you're from Florida. No, because that had nothing to do, that you and Hunter had to figure out. It's like, okay, they're not even listening to what this is, but they're saying no based on this other premise. Like what was the most common out of that?
Yeah, I think it was like a combination of like being from Florida and we were like unknown entities. Like we hadn't, like I had a track record before this. And like I mentioned earlier, we didn't go to like a sexy school. Like we went to like UNF. I think UNF is great.
Okay.
It wasn't like a Harvard or a Yale or whatever. So it's like.
So they were looking for at least another degree of.
Yeah, that's like a
something,
degree.
some synchronicity. You know the word I'm talking about.
Some indication that like these guys aren't morons.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which it really sucked at the time. It's like, no, I think we're really competent and capable. But it's like, yeah, at the time, Florida was not a startup hotbed at all. And then, we didn't go to a sexy school, and that's usually what VC people were looking for. So we didn't meet either of those boxes. And so, yeah, like to your point, it's like there were so many meetings that we had. Like we didn't even really start. There was like so many non-starters, it seemed like, which like really sucked. So, we had to really, really overcome that. So that was really, really difficult. And then, again, kind of a crazy situation. I can talk about it now. We finally got, for our seed round, we finally got somebody to say yes. This is about a few weeks before Christmas. And then long story short, he calls us up. It's Friday afternoon. We're leaving the office. He's like, hey, guys, like, yeah, actually turns out because, like, you're not in San Francisco, blah, 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 we have to, like, pull out of the deal. It was going to be like a $3 million deal. I'm like, crap. Like, and this is, like, weeks before Christmas. Like, that sucks. Like, it's going to be impossible to get in contact with everybody, whatever. What we said is, okay, we need to, like, really hunker down and, like, raise money. And I'm going to speed up here. I want to be time conscious of everybody here. But what we did is we said, okay, well, we got to figure it out somehow. We said, what are we like really good at? We said, we're really good at building relationships. And so what we did is actually, it's crazy and it worked. But our strategy was, okay, we're going to go on Twitter of all places. We're going to find a bunch of VCs and we're just going to start talking to them like they're normal people. We're not going to go in saying, hey, we have a company that we want to pitch you or check out our thing, whatever. We went and found tons of VCs. We found something that they were like personally interested in. Then we DM'd them about that. And we did this for hundreds of people. It was a lot of manual work, but it worked. And so the guy who ended up leading our seed round, I saw that he was a Virginia Tech football fan. And one of my buddies from high school ended up going to play football at Virginia Tech. So I DM'd him. I said, hey, man, no way, you're a Virginia Tech football fan, small world. One of my buddies, used to play receiver there. He goes, no way. So for 2 weeks, we talked about nothing but Virginia Tech football. And I know nothing about Virginia Tech football except that my buddy went to go play there. And then finally, he was like, hey, so like, what's this YAC thing you're working on? It looks really interesting. And it was like, okay, strategy worked. So strategy worked, but it was a ton of manual effort. And we sent hundreds of DMs. And, it ended up all coming together.
Did he ever, until this episode, did he ever find out that you knew nothing about Virginia Tech? Did you ever actually admit that?
I have no idea. We never really.
Yeah. Hopefully he's not listening to this episode. It's like, oh, yeah, he reached out to me.
He'd laugh about it.
Okay, gotcha.
But that ended up being a $1.5 million round. And then from there, I think that's when things really accelerated for us. That's when we got featured. Actually, I have it printed out right next to me. We got featured in the Wall Street Journal, in TechCrunch, and then I can say now, but then like Gary Vee and his company ended up signing up for the product. And then March 2020 happened. The whole world went remote at once. Everybody was looking for a remote async tool, which what YAC was.
That's and then exactly right. Exploded.
And even crazier from there. It's like if you see in our analytics, it's like it's up. And then the pandemic happened. It's like that.
Yeah, it's the hockey stick. It's what every entrepreneur wants. It's the hockey stick. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was absolutely so
So just like you said, I do want to be cognizant of time. So let's talk about BackTrack. So before we do some advice to entrepreneurs.
So it's really funny. So going back to all these failed investor meetings that we were doing, little old Hunter and I found ourselves out in a meeting in San Francisco again, trying to raise more money for the company. And I don't know how we got connected with this investor, because she was a later stage investor and we were still in the early stages of the company. But I don't know how we found ourselves in the meeting, but we did. And when I say I don't think a meeting could have gone worse than this one went, I mean, we got obliterated in this meeting. She actually heard us out, fortunately enough. But I mean, we got obliterated in this meeting, to the point it's like we're looking at each other going like, I don't know, like, you gonna talk? I'm gonna talk. I don't know. Like, it's one of those meetings where you're like, please, God,
why are we
like,
here?
let this thing yeah. Like, you're like, just let this be over as soon as possible.
Yeah. Can we just leave? Can we just call it? And just,
I know, we want to be like, you know what? Like, this is going really poorly. Like, we'll just get out of here now. But she just kept like, going on with it. So we leave. I look at Hunter and I'm
enjoying it. Like, no, stay. Don't go anywhere. I really like it.
Brutal, man. It was brutal. So anyway, we leave and I look at Hunter and I'm like, damn, I wish we recorded that. He's like, oh, dude, that'd be a great product. Like, what if we brought it to life? So later that night, we're flying back home, to Jacksonville, and we were like, let's bring like a version of that product to life. Like, we're on the plane, we got 6 hours to kill. Like, let's see what happens. So it's actually on Hunter's Instagram story. You can go see it. But like, initial versions of the logo, like a V, again, like 0.5 version of the product. And that's how it originally came to life. And then it just kind of like sat on the shelf for a while. We launched it, but just kind of put it in the background. And then that's like the original way that it came to life. And then for how we got here with the trade shows is, a user of it one day, she was like, hey guys, she wrote into us. She's like, hey guys, like I used to sing on a trade show. It completely changed my business. Instead of trying to remember notes or whatever while I'm on the show floor, I was just backtracking away. It was, recording it for me, doing all this. And we went, that's a really good idea. And we wanted to offer a second product within the company. And so we said, okay, well, we're going to bring BackTrack really back to life again and make this thing go. And that's what kind of got us now down the trade show route. And that's been a blast to work on too.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine. I mean, I love the product. The product is great. Obviously, as you know, Jordan, I've tried to give you as many recommendations and people to get in touch with as much as possible.
Appreciate your kindness and love on it.
And connections. Sure. Yeah, definitely. And it completely makes sense, right? To your point, right? You're not going to remember 90% of the conversations that you have at a trade show, a conference, whatever. I mean, Israel's actually wearing the shirt right now. I can see the society, which is part of the Jacksonville Tech Fest that we just put on, a couple months ago. I can't even, I can't remember 90% of the conversations that I had during that week, not to mention, Code in the Beach and everything else. Like, it's just, there's just so many. So it makes
complete sense. And all the conversations even just leading up to the conference. What did we miss? What could have we done better? Where did we fail? It's
a fantastic product. I'm super excited that you guys built that. And it's really it's ironic that you and also for any future entrepreneurs, you built it out of a negative situation and you made it a positive. Yeah. That in itself is fantastic. Because you could have just looked at that going like, that was a horrible meeting, and I never want to reflect on that meeting again. But you guys said, no, I do want to reflect on it. I wish I was recorded. I wish I could actually listen to me being berated again for an hour and just to learn from it. Like, that's amazing in itself, because not a lot of people want to do that. They want to just forget it and move on. Yeah. And you guys actually made a product out of it.
Yeah, if there's one thing, that I would leave everybody with, it's, I think that the general gist of our story through all the companies is we've just been really resilient. And I think that's what the essence of entrepreneurship is.
Totally.
Being resilient and being willing to learn. It's just, you got to show up every day. You got to be willing to learn. You got to be willing to fight back, swallow your own pride and just really hunker down. I think that's the essence of what it is. And being resilient is half the battle. Showing up and being resilient, that's no secret formula. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I would agree. So that was going to be my final question to you, because I know we're on time. Is that the number one lesson for anyone looking to build their own product, to be an entrepreneur? maybe like you, they've got the bug. They could be on a golf course right now, peddling lemonade and seeing a cart roll by with beer and have the same kind of idea that you have, like, oh, I can steal my dad's beer and make more money. What's the advice that you have for that kid right now?
Yeah. What I would tell people is there's three things. One is just start doing the work. You know, a lot of people get so caught up in, I don't have a website, or I don't have this, or I don't have that. Just start. Like, there's nothing stopping you. Like, it's never going to be a perfect time to start a business. Just start something. So just start is number one. Number two is just showing up is half the battle. You know, again, like, I don't think I'm any smarter than the average person or whatever. But I show up. Like, I show up constantly. I put myself out there. I try to do everything that I can. And then the third thing is just be resilient. You're going to get punched in the face a lot. When you're trying to raise money, you're going to get inherently more no's than yeses. You know, there's going to be customers are going to churn. There's going to be a lot of shit that happens. Show up, and you got to be willing to fight back. So
yeah, it's like a previous guest of ours, Dr. Bob, said it best and it's a quote from Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So to your point, that's exactly right. Yeah. So just keep going. No, I love it. Man, Swanson, you have one final question, or do you have anything that you want to add?
Well, before I ask my final question, I do want all the listeners to know that in no way is Two Recruiters and a Microphone or Jordan or YAC or BackTrack encouraging any minors to sell beers at any said golf course or country club. Just want to, and to steal beers. We're not encouraging any of those things, but we are encouraging any of the youngers to become to seek out that entrepreneurial spirit. So with that said,
very good.
So Jordan,
I'm glad you clarified that, because we
So how many products, how many ideas do you think? So when you saw and found Hunter, and you both had that, like, oh man, so there's that, and it's almost that same feeling when maybe you discovered YAC, where it's like, nope, this is what I'm going to show up every day for and put the time and effort in, and then that slowly migrated into BackTrack. However, prior to YAC and putting in the work, especially because you and Hunter now, even though you're buddies and partners, you still have to come together on all the ideas. I mean, I can't tell you. Well, first of all, I would say Pete and I really need BackTrack in our lives, because we've been spitballing ideas with each other for, I would say, close to 20 years now. And a lot of those ideas have slowly gone the way of the buffalo because we just forgot and we didn't follow up on them. But I guess what I'm getting to is, first question, how many ideas do you think you and Hunter have had together? And then did you create kind of a code, or that these ideas and these potential products need to meet these before you double down on it? And I know that, your story is so compelling and amazing that it was somewhat of a, I don't want to call it a lottery, in the fact that it's a phenomenal product, and being able for someone to come across the product, and this story is just so amazing, and the product's well deserved. But does any of that, in my rambling, does that make sense where I'm trying to go? Like,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talked about some of the only the highlights, but we've had, ideas are endless. A number I couldn't tell you. Hundreds, and then we've put out so many things, and like I mentioned a few that failed, but like there's also been a lot of failures in there. So it's like we got lucky on this one for sure, but there's tons of failures littered throughout this entire thing, and so I think the thing that, like, for us is, like, we tried not to be emotional or be married to one idea. It's like you let the market sort of decide. And even as excited as we may be about it, if it sucks or there's no adoption, then, like, it just isn't. Maybe it's timing, maybe it's the idea, whatever. But the biggest thing is,
you can't be married to the idea, right? Like you're saying.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say there's like a one particular idea or thing. It's just like you just kind of feel it. It's like, okay, this isn't going anywhere. Nobody likes it, and it sucks that you have to kind of kill it and then move on from it. So
Gotcha.
Or you can be in a Motel 6 off the strip at 11 p.m.
That's right. Maybe that's the solution. You just go
get a tweet, and all of a sudden your life changes. Yeah. No, it's amazing. Well, Jordan, fantastic. I'm so glad that you're a part of the program today. Thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to get this out to all of our listeners, but also all the future entrepreneurs, man, just to hear this story and to really wish for all of our audience to hopefully be in a hotel one time in a queen bed with your partner and get that call, and your life changes, and you call your dad at 2 a.m. and wake him up.
Yeah.
Worry him that you might be in jail. So, but this has been awesome. I really appreciate your time. Great questions. I'm excited for everybody to listen to it. We'll run it back for an episode 2.
Yes, absolutely.
Please. Yeah, we'd love to have you and Hunter on. Yeah, so let's do it.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right.
Well, cool.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
See you, buddies. Bye.
Signing out. See ya.
Cool. See you.